So much easier to ignore when it's far away. And to actually walk out of it, to be that close.
It's right there. We could take a trip if you're that curious.
I'm gonna have to decline. At least until I learn more about it. I have to admit, I thought you'd be...
Human?
Yes.
That's not surprising. Humans are everywhere. It's expected.
It was a foolish thought. Should have known better than to say anything. It's what you do and how you do it that's important. Just one question then. How do you think you fit in with all this?
A few of them worship me and think I'm destined for greatness. I don't disagree.
I don't think I've ever met someone quite so proud of who they are. It's... refreshing. Suppose being called Andraste's Herald must go to your head. For me, I'll be satisfied so long as we find the bastards that killed the Divine. They owe us some answers. I've heard rumors of abandoned Warden camps all over these parts. If we have time, I'd like to take a look. See if there's anything we can salvage.
What do you think of the Inquisition?
I expected more. More men, better equipment. You may have Andraste's favor, but wars are won by men, soldiers.
Brute force is not always the answer. There are plenty of other paths to victory.
True enough. Still, it never hurts to be prepared. One thing I will say about your men, they're passionate, devoted. You inspire them. Build on that foundation, and you will have an army that makes nations tremble.
You must have some feelings about our friends.
Don't play Diamondback with Solus. You've been warned. Taught him the game last night. He turned around and beat me at it. Lost everything. Had to walk back to my quarters with only a bucket for my bits.
What do you think of my advisors?
Cullen. He's got the look of a man who's been through too much. He's seen the best and the worst of humanity, and I think he still struggles with where that leaves him. Still, I trust him to watch my back.
What do you think about all this trouble between the mages and Templars?
Looking at it from where we stand, it seems inevitable. But that could be hindsight. How many of us actually saw it coming? Either way, I don't think the Chantry will ever recover.
What do you think of Haven?
It's a war camp that was once a pilgrim's refuge. It's the state of the world though, isn't it? Holy ground turned into a battlefield. Pity about that temple. Would have been nice to see it.
What do you think of the Inquisition's cause?
Restoring order is a goal I support wholeheartedly. But that's not the end of it, is it? Not by a half. The Lady Seeker believes we are restoring the Chantry. Others say it needs reform. I don't know where you stand on the matter, and I'll admit I haven't made up my mind either.
We should return to our duties.
As you wish. You are, after all, in charge. Yes?
I want to hear more about you.
Compared to yours, my life will seem dull indeed.
Your name Blackwall doesn't sound Orlesian. Marcher, then? Ferelden?
I was from the Free Marchers originally. Markham. That was a long time ago. Another life.
I hear that many wardens were once criminals.
You're right. And when you join, your past is forgotten, so let's leave it that way.
What did you do before you became a warden?
I was a soldier, a nobody trained to wield a sword and follow orders. I grew weary of fighting other men's wars.
So you became a warden?
More or less. Becoming a Grey Warden was the first time I felt like I mattered. The life I led before seems hollow in comparison. Perhaps one day it will fade away.
Why did you join the Wardens?
because they remember honor and sacrifice. Words that have little meaning to the rest of us. Because they lay down their lives for those they have sworn to protect. We all need to believe there are such men in the world. I needed to believe I could be one of them.
We can continue this discussion at another time.
Very well. Inquisitor?
Let's talk about the Grey Wardens. You must know a lot about them.
Ah, the Wardens. I'm afraid we're less exciting than we seem.
The Blight's been over for 10 years. What do Wardens do when the world's not ending?
There is still Darkspawn. Just because we killed so many in Ferelden doesn't mean they're gone. And the world is not so peaceful that there's no use for good men with swords. Sometimes you have to figure out for yourself what the pledge to protect others really means. It's not always about just archdemons and blights.
Where were you during the Blight?
I was in Ferelden, on my own like always. Quietly killed my fair share of Darkspawn too.
You haven't had contact with other Wardens for a while. Why were you on your own?
It's what I've always done. Recruitment only requires one man. Besides, I've always been a loner. Works best for everyone that way.
So you have no idea where the rest of the Wardens are?
Do you find that odd? The Blight is over. We don't need an organized force. And orders don't change much from day to day. For the last 1,000 years or so, it's been just find Darkspawn, kill them, repeat as necessary.
Let's continue this at another time.
As you wish. I'll be here if you need me.
They've got good form. Cullen's putting his Templar training to good use.
Did Cullen tell you he was a Templar? He's not wearing the armor.
He didn't have to. Might not be a Templar shield, but it's a Templar holding it. He angles the shield just a bit down. Helps direct fire or acid away, so it doesn't spray right into your face. Kanari learned the same thing when we trained to fight Tevinter mages. Your Templar's doing good work.
I'm impressed by what Cullen has accomplished with the troops.
Damn right. It takes time to build a group into a team, but he's got their loyalty. Now he just needs them to make a decent shield wall, and they'll be good to go. Biggest problem for the Inquisition right now isn't on the front line. It's at the top. You've got no leader, no Inquisitor.
Then maybe we need one. I'd be willing.
You? Huh. Why you?
Nobody else seems to be stepping forward. And since I can seal rifts, I'm here whether I like it or not. If it proved necessary to have an Inquisitor, I could make a go of it.
For a second there, you sounded like a Canary. My people don't pick leaders from the strongest, or the smartest, or even the most talented. We pick the ones willing to make the hard decisions, and live with the consequences. Who knows? Maybe you sealed the breach. The Chantry gets off its ass and all those soldiers go home and get fat.
You think?
It could happen. It won't, but it could. How's it going?
So how did you get the name Iron Bull?
I picked it. We don't have names under the queue. Just, I don't know. Job descriptions, I guess. When I came to Orlais, I chose the Iron Bull for myself.
But why specifically Iron Bull?
This may surprise you, but I really like hitting things. Also, it's the Iron Bull, technically. I like having an article at the front. It makes it sound like I'm not even a person, just a mindless weapon. An implement of destruction. That really works for me.
I'd like to know more about your work with the Ben Hasrath.
Ben Hasrath is actually a general term. You've got the secret police who investigate problems inside our territory. You've got the re-educators who take people with problems and fix their minds. Or make them disappear. And then you've got the spies.
How do the re-educators work?
Well, I only know the basics. Wasn't my area. That said, keep a man awake long enough. Ask the right questions, give the right potions, and you can get him to say anything. You don't need blood magic or demons to change someone's mind. We're a lot more fragile than we'd like to believe.
You can alter someone's beliefs that easily.
One of my friends was a re-educator. He said that every memory is like the page of a book. When you examine a memory, you're turning to that page, and when you're there, the page is laid bare. Write a few notes in the margins of the page, erase a word here and there, and your whole outlook changes. Always felt a little weird reading after that conversation.
Re-educators sound horrible.
Yeah, they probably do. Here's the thing, though. What happens in Orlais when you commit a crime or betray a lord? They just lop your head off. At least the Qunari try to fix you.
None of those sound exactly like you.
Yeah, I was a special case. They sent me to Saharan because they needed someone who could fight and hunt down problems. That whole island was a sack of cats. Incursions from Tevinter, Tal Vashath, and native rebels fighting both sides. And in the middle, me, trying to wrangle the rebels and restore order.
You seem like the type who enjoys a good fight.
There's a good fight, and there's finding out who put rat poison in the bread and killed a bunch of children. I hunted down a lot of rebels. Lost a lot of friends to the Vince, or the Fog Warriors, or the Tal Vashath. One day I woke up and couldn't think of a damned reason to keep doing my job. Turned myself into the re-educators.
Not many people would have the courage to do that.
I thought about letting some rebel kill me, but I couldn't give any of those bastards the satisfaction. The Ben Hasrath ordered me to go to Orlais, ostensibly as a Tal Vashath, and work undercover. That's how I ended up here.
That's, damn.
You did ask. Anyway, nice talking with you. Can I help you?
I'd like to know more about the Qunari.
You writing a book?
What I've heard about them sounds fascinating.
What you've heard was mostly horse shit. All right, what do you want to know?
What's it like growing up under the Qun?
The Tamasrans raise us in these units of kids all our own age. They're like teachers, or chantry sisters. They also help figure out what jobs we should do. They had me pegged for military work early on. When they learned I could hit stuff and lie, they started training me for the Ben Hasra.
You never knew your parents?
No, I know for you folks, that's a big deal. The Tamasrans were like our parents, though. Taught us to read, helped us go to sleep, all the parent stuff. I remember the one who helped me build things with blocks. She laughed when I knocked everything down.
Do you ever think about what would happen if the Qunari conquered Orlais or Ferelden?
Some folks, like Cassandra or Cullen, would do fine if they didn't die fighting. Those two love rules. But the mages... Can you imagine Solus trying his fade dreaming under the Qun? Or Vivian doing her political bullshit? Both Sarah and Varric would mouth off until they ended up re-educated, drugged until their minds broke. So, to answer your question, no, I don't think about it much at all.
How do the Qunari rule themselves?
It's pretty simple. We've got the matriarchy, the priesthood, and the military. The priesthood figures out how Qunari should live in theory. The matriarchy makes it work in practice. And the military keeps the Qunari safe from outside threats.
Does it actually work like that? Is there much infighting?
Not like you're thinking of. People disagree, yeah, but the priests are there to solve disagreements. Here in Orlais, politicking comes from people putting their own gain ahead of the gains of society. If you do that among the Qunari, the Ben Hasrath set you straight, or kill you.
I heard there's no marriage among the Kunari.
Yeah, that's true. Qunari love our friends like anyone does, but we don't have sex with them.
Kunari don't have sex?
Oh, we definitely have sex. They're Tamasrans who pop your cork whenever you need it.
Seriously?
Yes. It's not a big deal like it is here. It's like, I don't know, going to see a healer. Sometimes it's this long, involved thing. It takes all day, leaves you walking funny. Other times you're in and out in 5 minutes. Thank you. See you next week.
I could work with that.
I know, right? No drama. Still, it's more fun here. Fewer rituals, more making it up as you go along. Plus, you folk have redheads. Redheads.
How is everyday life different for Kunari?
Depends on your job, I guess. Some are just about the same. A baker in Valroyo gets up, gets dressed, and starts work. A baker in Parvolan does the same thing. They don't care about the Empire or the Q. Mostly they worry about breaking eggs and hope the dough rises right.
It can't be exactly the same. The Kunari have no personal freedoms.
How many personal freedoms do you figure that baker in Valroyo has? Life isn't about freedom. The baker in Parvolan wonders if she'll be given enough eggs to do her work. Will they come on time? Will the kitchen workers get her bread while it's fresh, or will they come late and blame her because it's stale? Same crap in Valroyo. People are just people.
The word Kunari, is that the race or the religion?
Both. Kind of. The humans and elves who follow the Qun are the Vidathari. The Kunari who break away from the Qun are Talvasha, deserters.
What about Kunari who existed before the Q?
The people we came from. They're called the Kasith, but we don't use that word for the race. We came south to Thedas because the Kasith were... I don't know. We had to leave. The stories aren't clear. But I don't expect they look much like us. Whatever they are.
See you later, Bull.
See ya.
What can I do for you?
Iron Bull said the chargers were at my disposal. Do you have any suggestions on how to use them?
Nothing jumps out at me. If I come up with any ideas, I'll let you know.
I'd like to know more about the Iron Bull.
The Chief. First time I met him, he saved my life. I never thought I'd work for a Kunari, but he grows on you. He's not like any commander I've ever worked for. That's for damn sure.
How's Iron Bull as a commander?
If you know what you're doing and hold up your end, he's easy. He doesn't accept any less. He keeps us alive, he leads from the front, and if you've an idea that'll win the fight, he listens. I've seen bands whose captains had to prove they were swinging the biggest sword. Bull isn't like that. The charges might give him more lip than you'd expect, but every one of us would lay down our lives for the big ass.
How did a Tevinter soldier wind up in a Kunari spy's mercenary company?
I wasn't a soldier at the time. I was in some trouble, trying to flee to Vinter. A Tribune and his men caught me in a border town tavern. They meant to make an example of me. Bull killed them. Gave up his eye doing it. Patched me up and asked if I was looking for work. I've been putting up with his jokes ever since.
That's how he lost the eye?
Yes. The guards had me on the tavern floor when Bull came inside and yelled for them to stop. One of them saw trouble coming and figured he'd finish me off. The guard had a flare. Bull put himself between me and the blow. Big-horned idiot. Didn't even know me.
Is it strange to work for a Kunari?
He hasn't tried to convert us to the Qun, if that's what you're asking. Bull's charges don't care who you light a candle for, so long as your shield stays up. If he hadn't told me he was Ben Hasrath, I'd have thought he'd left that life behind.
I didn't expect he'd tell you all that he was a spy.
Not the whole band, but those who've been around long enough to trust. He figures most of us would find out sooner or later, and it should come from him. Eyes to eye, he says. It's never messed up a job. He just writes letters back home. Lots of the boys write letters back home.
We'll talk later.
Can I help you with anything?
Can we talk about the Bull's Chargers?
Best company you'll find from here to the Anderfells. In my time with the Chief, we've gone up against everything from bandits to magic trees. We're expensive, but you'll never doubt we're worth it. Want to know anything in particular?
Do the Chargers specialize in anything from a tactical standpoint?
Bull doesn't want us large enough to work as an army. We're better as shock troops to skirmishers. We've got archers for hitting enemy infantry, Dalish with more archery, and Skinner and her people on the flanks. Rocky handles fortifications and traps, and Stitches keeps us all fighting. They mostly hold back. I'll lead the frontline fighters with Grim, and the Chief goes wherever he can hit something.
Are there rules for how mercenaries operate?
If you don't want some noble to treat you like bandits, yes. There's also a code of conduct most companies hold to. Keeps things civilized on the battlefield. We accept surrenders for ransom from mercenaries, nobles, and soldiers wearing a lord's colors. Our prisoners are treated well, injuries tended. We'd want the same for any of ours who got captured.
You said something about everything from bandits to magic trees. I'll admit to some curiosity.
Right. Sylvans. That's what Dalish called them. Apparently spirits can possess trees, too. Some noble in the Dales, and they really don't like it when you call them Dalish nobles, had a haunted forest. His family had abandoned the land, but he wanted it back. The Chief bought us all axes, and in we went. Between the axes and the torches, the Sylvans weren't too bad. Worst part was the squirrels.
We'll talk later.
You've never been to a circle, as far as I can tell, yet you're remarkably skilled. Were you self-taught?
The Dalish have their own traditions, you know. The Circle isn't the only authority on magic.
I have heard about the traditions of magic among the Dalish keepers, but it's all third-hand. In my own experience, nothing is more deadly to a young mage than a lack of knowledge, which makes the current state of things precarious. What do you imagine will happen if the circles are not restored? Do you foresee the Dalish taking us all under their wing?
The war benefits no one. It must end, and order must be restored.
If only the rebels saw things so clearly. Justinia's death has shattered the balance of power in Thedas. If it is not restored quickly, countless lives will be lost. Mages, Templars, innocent people of all kinds now look to the Inquisition to decide their fate.
I'll try not to let them down.
Failure is a luxury we cannot afford, my dear. For almost 1,000 years, the world believed it was in the hands of the Maker. And now many believe you are the agent of his will. Whatever the truth is, that belief gives you power.
If that's true, then I'll put it to good use.
I suppose we'll see. I've stolen enough of your time, my dear. Don't let me keep you. Yes?
Is there anything I can do to help your efforts at restoring the Circle?
After the circles fell, their libraries were plundered by scavengers. 1,000 years of recorded knowledge in the hands of bandits. It makes me sick to think of it. I've received news that some tomes have been located, if you are interested in righting this wrong.
I'll look into it for you.
If you can take care of this matter, the Circle would be in your debt. Yes?
I'd like to know more about you, Madame Vivienne.
Whatever would you like to know?
Your accent's not Orlesian. Where exactly are you from?
I am from the Circle, my dear. One's country of origin rarely matters there. But if you must know, I was born in Wycombe in the Free Marches. I was sent to the Ostwick Circle, but I transferred to Mont-Simon while still an apprentice.
I'm curious how a Circle mage winds up a courtier.
Nobody winds up at court, my dear. It takes a great deal of effort to arrive there. I caught the eye of Duke Bastien de Ghislaine, an advantageous connection that opened many doors. When the position of Enchanter to the Imperial Court became vacant, I was able to secure it.
You're married to the Duke de Ghislaine?
Of course not, my dear. Don't be ridiculous. Marriage is the business of alliance and inheritance. I'm Bastien's mistress.
And what does the Duchess de Ghislaine think of this arrangement?
We got along quite well. Duchess Nicoline and I used to host musical salons together. She was a great patron of the arts. She passed away from a fever a few years ago, the poor dear.
What duties does a court enchanter have?
I am tasked with providing assistance to the Empress on arcane matters. Most of my predecessors restricted this to lighting lamps and doing parlor tricks. In such troubled times as these, however, I provide political advice to Her Majesty on the subject of the Mage Rebellion. Yes?
I wanted to ask you about the Circle of Magi.
Of course. What do you wish to know?
You must have an opinion of the Templars after living so long in the Circle.
Having opinions about Templars, my dear, is exactly like having opinions about mages or Navarrans or men. I have known some who were impossible to endure and some who were utterly charming. I have suffered insults at the hands of those in the armor, but no more than I endured from nobles or tradesmen in Val Royal. Personally, I have found the Templars a useful tool, skilled at keeping more unpleasant elements at bay.
If the Circle disbanded, how can you still belong to it?
The Circle is an idea, my dear, and an idea cannot be dissolved. Many of the first enchanters voted for rebellion, caring little that anything short of a unanimous decision would pit mage against mage. Rather than dissolving it, Grand Enchanter Fiona's vote split the Circle in two. The rebels follow her, the loyalists follow me.
If you lead all the Loyalists, why are you only First Enchanter and not Grand Enchanter?
Grand Enchanters are elected, and since there are no First Enchanters besides myself, no vote can be held. I could name myself Grand Enchanter, but the title holds no meaning now. When the circles are restored, that will change.
What was it like to live in a Circle?
My dear, your question is the root of all problems with mages. I cannot tell you. Every circle was different. Their Templars were different, their politics unique. And every person within each tower had an experience of Circle life unique to themselves. Some people suffered and some were content. Some were cruel, some compassionate, and some indifferent. The same is true of people everywhere, in all circumstances, whether they are mages or not.
So tell me about your personal experience with the Circle.
I enjoyed life in the Montsimard Circle, my dear. It was an edifice devoted to knowledge and refinement. And there is comfort to be had, you know, in the company of fellow mages. Those born without magic will never truly understand us.
You must have been under constant supervision, being forced by Templars to live in the tower. Was that hard to endure?
My dear, I have a suite in the palace and a wing at my dear Duke Bastien's estate. I have never been forced to live anywhere. Most circles allowed mages to live away from the tower, either on their own or in service to the nobility. All that was required was permission from the first enchanter. Some circles were harsher in their restrictions. Kirkwall was the worst, but it was the exception. Most were quite permissive, perhaps too permissive in retrospect.
How did we come to this state with the Circles in revolt?
A failure of perspective that infected Circle leadership. Mages lived solely in a world of Templars and mages. They could not even imagine what was beyond the tower walls. Kirkwall gave the world a reason to remember its fear of magic. A mage killed hundreds with a snap of their fingers. Across Thedas, a new tangible fear of magic grew. Commoners and nobles alike called out to the Chantry for protection. But the malcontents in the towers thought nothing of this. They cared only for themselves and for their anger at the new Templar restrictions. When a mage attempted to assassinate Divine Justinia, again, the mages protested the investigation. The leadership chose to vote on independence based on the intolerable conditions imposed by the Templars, sparing no thought to the fact that magic was more feared in the aftermath of these attacks than it had been since Tevinter's day. So long as they had their freedom, they could care little for riots, angry mobs, or about pitting mages against each other.
Are you familiar with Grand Enchanter Fiona?
We've met. Before her horrendously ill-timed and selfish vote for independence, I thought her adequate at her job. In her dotage, she could not handle looking after the well-being of so many people. We would have done better to replace her years ago, to let her spend time gardening.
Did they have cause to rebel?
In the aftermath of their terrorist attacks? Was that really the most opportune time to break away? By all means, protest abuses by the Templars. Just don't do it in a way that says mages support wholesale murder. By voting when they did, my colleagues all but declared war upon the ordinary people of Thedas. A war in which we are outnumbered 100 to 1.
I thought the fighting was only between mages and Templars. Why are mages fighting mages?
The vote for independence was carried by only a small margin, but Fiona chose to let the motion stand. Those who opposed a rash declaration of war against the entire free world had little choice. By breaking from the Chantry when they did, the rebels declared themselves in support of mass murder. Anyone who did not wish to support terrorism and the slaughter of innocents was forced to take arms against the rebels. Yes?
Do you think that you and I might someday...
You and I? Don't be absurd, my dear.
Heaven has been
Mistress
filled
Lavelle,
with silence.
do you have a moment?
Did you need something, Ambassador?
Yes. Well, not precisely, but I should like to know if anyone here has treated you unkindly, Herald, for being an elf.
If they have, they've been stealthy.
Good. Please let me know if that changes. If we're to convince the world that Andraste's Herald is an elf, the Inquisition must give you its utmost support. Stories of wild Dalish elves have grown even more outrageous as people learn of you.
How have the rumors gotten worse?
I would prefer not to repeat them.
Give me something.
Stealing children, selling peasants to slavers, burning down villages, using infants for blood magic. Those are the stories about your fellow Dalish. I won't repeat what they've said about you.
Isn't the magic just as much a problem as my ears?
It depends which way the wind is blowing. Magic is meant to serve man, the chant teaches. Close the breach, and we can claim that is why Andraste chose you. Hopefully it will be enough to replace this gossip about the Dalish.
The humans telling those tales are the first to take a knife to someone with pointed ears. My clans defended ourselves against them more times than I can count.
Really? I had no idea. I will do what I can to end this slander, Herald. It may help if I know more about how you and your clan lived.
The best part was when the Aravel, our wagons, turned from the plains to the woods. I used to spend weeks exploring the forest.
You make it sound idyllic. Haven is so far away from home. You must miss the people of your clan.
If I'd never left home, Josephine, I never would have met you. That would be the greater tragedy.
What? Oh, really? There is more to this, Mistress Llewellyn. Whatever comes, your role as Andraste's Herald will mark your clan history.
have been other elves close to Andraste. Shartan led an army of them in her name.
This is true. I'd forgotten. The Chantry is not fond of Shartan. Perhaps we should draw parallels. Hint that Andraste's favor has returned to an elf in our time of need. Thank you, Herald. There are some letters I should write.
I met Warden.
So, this is it, huh? Oh no, it's fine, yeah? It's just, I thought it'd be bigger. That would have been hilarious if you were a man, right? Wasted. Anyway, stopping wars should earn more sovereigns than this. Need things back to normal for coins to be flowing again. Another reason the Templars and mages need to be sat down.
I'm pretty sure the Conclave proved it's not that easy.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
Why? Because someone yelled it real loud? Make them prove it. They're too busy to look up where the real questions are.
Is there something else you're looking for? Like what's behind all this?
Maybe. I don't know. First things first, right? I help you, march, arrow, kick. Then people stop being stupid, and everything starts to make sense again. Sound good to you, all-touched Lady Herald?
I think I'll enjoy having you around, Sarah. I hope you'll feel the same.
Kinda. Suppose. Maybe. See you, Herald. Herald. I have to do something about that.
Sarah was never an agreeable girl. Her tongue tells tales of rebellion, but she was so fast and quick with her bow. No one quite knew where she came from. Sarah was never quite the quietest girl. Her attacks are loud and they're joyful, but she knew the ways of nobler men, and she knew how to enrage them. She would always like to say, why change the past when you could own this day? Today she will fight to keep her away. She's a rogue and a thief, and she'll tempt your fate. She would always like to say, why change the past when you can own this day? Today she will fight to keep her away. A rogue and a thief, and she'll tempt your fate. Sarah was never quite the wealthiest girl. Some say she lives in a tavern, but she was so sharp and quick with a bow. Arrows strike like a dragon. Sarah was never quite the gentlest girl. Her eyes were sharp like a razor, but she knew the ways of commoner men, and she knew just how to use them. She would always like to say, why change the past when you can own this day? Today she will fight to keep her away. She's a rogue and a thief, and she'll tempt your fate. She would always like to say, why change the past when you can own this day? Today she will fight to keep her away. She's a rogue and a thief, and she'll tempt your fate.
Chasing the Lord Seeker, I hear. Anyone who thinks they need Lord in front of the name, that's bad. Bet he's got a portrait taller than he is. That's your first clue to a total arse. Fact.
Is the Inquisition what you thought it would be?
Calling an Inquisition is a bit much, isn't it? Does not even know what they're chasing. Fair question for me as well, I suppose. Everybody following a rumor. At least I'm used to that.
What do you think about the people who have gathered?
Which? The ones who do things or the ones who give orders?
What about Solus?
Solus? His head's crammed up 1,000 years ago.
Thoughts about Cassandra?
Not as buttoned up as she plays, right? Tough, though. I'd stand behind her in front of anything.
Anything to say about Varric?
Varric? Too clever. Always saying something, but never saying it straight.
What's your opinion of Vivienne?
She's a bitch, but she knows. She better.
Thoughts on Iron Bull?
It makes me wonder about things. I mean, what do the women look like? Woof.
Any thoughts about Warden Blackwall?
He's too good, right? I'd like to see him out of that uniform. Not like that.
What do you think about our spy master, ambassador, and commander?
Liliana is pretty in places. Swear I've seen her too. Or heard she used to play. But that'd be mad. Now Josephine, she's as good at humbling her kind as I am. Just with less mess. Knows her business, if you have to have it. And Cullen. I suppose if you want a jackboot, you get a big one so you can grow into it. Nice hair, though.
We'll talk later.
Good, right? I'll be here. Chasing mages, that's a Templar's job. A big, armored, pissed-off helm polisher. Not too late to go find some. Or stay home.
I was wondering if you could look at some locks for me.
What, the doors under the chantry?
You know about them?
Places have doors. I just wasn't interested in poking through some sister's breeches. Good to know about you, though. Consider them open, yeah? Ready for waiting.
You apparently have a lot of friends. Tell me about your network.
It's not mine, right? I mean, it is, but it's also everyone. Everyone who wants to shove it to nobles who hide behind gold and silk. And hats, I guess.
Are you just about pranks and revenge? Or is there more to it?
Well, it's a weave, right? I grease the ballroom, so a wyvern chasing Git has to hunt Sprained. Strangely, handmaids leave his vault open. His heirlooms pay off someone else. Maybe clean streets in Kirkwall so someone gets something else. Pish, pish, pish. A lot of people eventually get help or a laugh. Or maybe someone dead, if they deserve it.
So who decides who deserves it? You? By what authority?
Look, Dukey cuts the stable boy's finger off for snagging a biscuit. He's eating an arrow for tea. Deserves it. Most times, it's just fun. And embarrassed, the same as dead for some. Anyway, assassin's a bard's job, innit? No fun, that lot. They might plonk a noble, right? But only to raise another. Plus, I'm shy at singing.
Is Red Jenny real? Or was she always just you and your friends?
Dunno.
Don't you care?
Not if it works. I mean, Red is scary because blood. And Jenny is... Look, nobody fears the bunch of people who do random stuff. And besides, it's easy. Nobles want a bogeyman because they need to believe normal people can't get at them. Numbers, yeah? An even spread is all it takes.
Seems like it should be more complicated than that.
That's why you'd be bad at it and why I'm here. You don't want to play, don't play. That's simple too.
Where are the people you promised?
If I knew, they wouldn't be much use. That's sort of the point. Look, unless your baddies are rocks or trees, they have people they use. Cooks, squires, wipers. Yeah, I know, wipers, right? You better believe the one with wipers deserve it, right in the... Well, anyway. The little people will be there when you need them, in a million little ways.
This doesn't seem like it would produce much in the way of results.
It's working for you. What, is every follower of yours a giant who does all things and knows your every move? Not your team of doers. I mean the people gathering. Is that normal because it's religious? Seems like that should make it weirder.
I can play along if it works for you.
You have a choice. Hail the Inquisition.
We'll talk another time.
It's all good, innit? Hey, it's you again.
Tell me about yourself.
Oh yeah? Interested, are you?
How about the basics? Where are you from?
Ferelden?
I got that from the accent. Where in Ferelden?
All over? Okay, fine. Denerim for a bit. South, north, wherever I want.
Oh, you're from wherever. I'm from north wherever.
What?
North wherever. Oh, we had fun on street and or in local tavern.
Oh, hardy ha. Oh, funny you. It's complicated. I don't like complicated. Let's leave it at that. Maybe.
I'm just interested in talking to an elf like me.
Don't think so.
Why not?
Well, maybe you're alright, but most elves are too... elfy. Like that Solus, right? Never be as good as we were. Well, who's we? I'm just fine.
I think there's more to it than that. A few thousand years more.
Hey, someone wants to be angry about old debts, be angry. Be a terror that never lets an enemy forget. But if you're digging it up so you can wear it, that's just weird. I mean, you Dalish don't really know. You have stories, but that's all they are. It's all fancy dress, not history.
You're skilled. Who taught you how to use a bow?
No one.
That seems unlikely.
What? I picked it up here and there. Mostly it just makes sense. It's not like that for you.
It never occurred to you that doing what you do should require some effort?
Well, yeah. I practice. Some. Not like Cullen and his pets. I mean, you miss, then you don't. Is it that hard to see when it's wrong?
Well, it's not like that for other elves. I know that.
Most I know couldn't find an arrow sitting on it. Right. Maybe I just make it look easy in shy company. Fact still is, no teacher. Where would I find one in alleyways anyway?
We'll talk later.
If you say so.